Audrey, thank you so much for joining me today. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. I'm a big fan of your work, and I've written some questions, but they were a couple of months ago, actually. I don't remember what I was going to ask you, so hopefully it'll be a surprise for everyone.
Well,
Uh,
I haven't prepared anything, so
that's okay. You just have to,
going into this with it's gonna be a car crash, hopefully.
fuck yeah, hopefully.
A Loudian
Audrey,
car crash.
thank you for agreeing to chat with me today. That's what I wrote here. You are the author of Teleplasm, Counterillumination, Zealous Immaculate, Tears of a Komsomol Girl. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Invisibility, a Manifesto, and perhaps other books or projects that I'm not aware of. I believe I first heard about you because I published a novel with amphetamine sulfate, and your novella, Invisibility, a Manifesto, came out on that same press on the same day as my book. I think both
Hmm,
titles were offered as a kind of package deal for readers. I
yeah,
remember reading your
it's
novella and thinking how fun, smart, and violent it was. A brutal Nancy Drew mystery with a hypersexualized, unreliable protagonist. Since that time, I've been working on whatever the fuck I've been doing, and you've been publishing a new novel every 1 to 2 years. Typically, I think that's a bad move for writers. I'm in the camp of people who write slow and steady, who love to iterate their work 100 times over, and who believe a book should be an event, not a race to produce content. However, the quality of your writing seems to keep up with your output, and the content of your work continues to escalate in its depiction of misanthropia and sexual violence. There seems to be a very specific world you're building with themes and characters often carrying over from one book to the next. Can you talk a bit about this Audrey Szasz literary world? Do you think of any of your books as sequels to the others, or what is it you're doing here?
yeah, I mean, I get how they could be seen as linked together,
Sure.
like they're really different books all about the same sort of thing.
Well, what is the
But
same sort of thing in your opinion?
well, I'm trying to explore my personal unconscious. And obviously, that's going to be mixed in with the collective unconscious as well, and media saturation. Every book I've ever read, or every painting I've ever seen, or everywhere I've ever been, it's all going to come flooding out in various different ways into my writing.
Fair enough.
Um, so I'm not really trying to consciously achieve any sort of like monumental structure. And like in terms of your comment about writing and slow and steady versus releasing work apparently continuously or whatever,
Right.
I think that's a valid comment, but I feel like it just depends on the person who's creating the world or creating the dream that they're kind of like living inside. Yeah.
Well, I
So
feel like
in my world, a day is quite a long time. Well, I mean a night really, because I don't really like it's 4 p.m. here. I only woke up a couple of hours ago, so
oh, okay.
I sort of live in the nighttime. So my nights are slow in of themselves. I experience life is quite um, glacial and sometimes boring. So my, why are you laughing at me?
I know. I'm just I love it.
I'm like this all the time. I mean, I'm just different, I guess. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is in I understand the idea of writing a book every couple of years or taking 3 or 4 years to work on a project, and I totally get that. And I think I would do the same as well one day if it happened. I'm totally open to it. But at the moment, it just seems like I'm not I'm not creating content for the sake of it. I mean, I I do release a lot of work, but I also go through times where I don't work for like 6 weeks or 2 months where I just like sort of hibernate and I'm really incredibly lazy or I just don't want to do anything or it's just not there, so I don't do it. I only work when it's there. And at the moment or the last couple of years, it seems to happen a lot. So I just do it. I just go along with it. I'm not really trying to, um, I'm only trying to live my own life, really. Like didn't write the books to try and get people to like me or be my friend or make me famous or something or think I'm transgressive or cool or sick or whatever. So really
Okay.
it's just I can't stop doing what I'm doing. It's like I'm just as much a victim as everyone else, really. I'm not like I wish I was good at something else. Then I'd have more of a life or people would respect me. People like say I was a famous mathematician. I'd write for periodicals and
Well, I think some people
do all
respect
this kind
you.
of
I mean, I had meant this as a
the right,
compliment.
the right, the right people
The right
respect me.
people. Yeah. The
I'm
people
gonna
who,
do like a Donald Trump thing and say only the people that respect me are the right people,
yeah, well, fucking do
and
it. I don't
and
know.
everyone else, they don't exist for me.
All right, well, let's move on. I have another few questions for you. Let's talk about some of your more recent novels. Zealous Immaculate, which was published in 2022 by Amphetamine Sulfate, was the first book of yours that made me feel that you'd leapfrogged into being this iconic and crucial figure in contemporary alternative literature.
That's nice.
First
Thanks.
off, well,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, that's the way I feel. I think your work is kind of
thank
incredible.
you.
And first off,
Really, that's really sweet. Thank you.
absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's anyway. Well, first off, the cover is striking and that it betrays the aesthetics typically associated with this world. You are depicted standing in front of a harshly lit lime green background. You're
Mhm.
dressed in children's clothing and shown wearing a pink headband, holding a pink hairbrush. One hand is hidden beneath the sleeve of your shirt. I assume you're meant to depict the novel's central character, Tamara, a child of some unknown war-torn country, who ends up living in a children's home nestled in the forest away from the military violence that provides a backdrop to the more personal, abusive, and sexual violence Tamara suffers at the hands of doctors, nurses, and other caretakers around her. In short, the book is hilarious, smart, and unrelentingly brutal. I'm curious about the visual language associated with many of your books, especially in regards to the stylized photographs that often accompany your work. You seem to cosplay your own characters in a way, often in a tongue-in-cheek manner that defies the extremity of what we come to witness in your prose. Can you talk about this and maybe your collaborations with Carolina Urbaniak? I don't know how to pronounce her name.
Carolina
Okay.
Urbania. Yeah.
Who I assume is a photographer, designer, and artist who often facilitates these works. And she runs what Infinity Land Press, right?
Yeah, she runs it with Martin Blatt.
Okay,
So they're running that together. And um, yeah, that all started. I think that all started with my first solo novel, which was Tears of a Komsomol Girl.
right.
And there was an idea that the book should be illustrated because a lot of their books, they like to illustrate them in various ways with their artwork or photography or whatever, collages. And they said to me, well, look, you've written this book about this Soviet girl who's being murdered repeatedly by an Audrey Chikatilo character. And why not let's do some photographs around that? And I said, yeah, that sounds like fun. Being stripped half naked and tied up in a forest, getting bitten by little bugs and things, and covered in blood and parts of a dead animal and things like that. But I liked dressing up in the little outfits, you know. That was I got into that. So I'm basically I'm trying to say that when I was a lot younger, I really loved stuff like David Bowie,
Okay.
and I still do, and stuff like Kraftwerk and or Roxy Music or bands that or artists that had a strong visual presence. And normally for a writer, it is really just about the literature, and writers don't normally put themselves all over the covers of their work and so on, unless they're like massive narcissists, which is fair enough if they're enjoying that. Um, but that's it's kind of something that developed on its own. People I started doing it, and then it just continued, and then it became part of what I was doing when I did my occasional live performances. I would dress up and I'd get into the character, and I'd become one of these horrible girls from my books.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah, because I think there's a few videos of me online where I'm performing and trying to be these characters, and I'm often rude to the audience and um, provocative, I suppose. They might consider it provocative or offensive or just funny. I don't know. It's up to them what they think, but I just go with the flow, really. But that aspect, the visual aspect, came from it came from my imagination because I feel like my books are really aesthetic or visual in of themselves, in a kind of a sense of synesthesia and colors and texture. But also, yeah, I had the opportunity to be photographed by like talented people and have these illustrations. So I thought, yeah, it sounded like a fun thing to do. It was amusing. And I would do more as well. I mean, I think there should be more in the future. I'm going to do more collaborations with Carolina, hopefully, especially for the next book I'm working on. And yeah, it's it's not something I thought about too much. I just wanted to be like a animalistic and just live in a flat one-dimensional space, schizoid 21st century female space.
I mean, I love it. I think it's, I mean, because writers, I think, do attempt more of putting themselves out there on social media these days, but it's not quite as mythological and stylized as what you're doing. I think you're right that not many people who are writers, or especially good writers who aren't maybe some massive celebrity, don't have themselves kind of like in a photo shoot capacity in any like thoughtful way throughout their work. So I think what you're doing is very interesting. I haven't seen any of your performances or readings. Mostly I hate readings, but what you're talking about sounds relatively
I
fun.
hate I hate readings.
Yeah, I'd go to them.
I hate everything. So
Yeah, well, that's, I mean, I sort of gathered that from reading your stuff.
Nothing short of a total war.
All right. Well, how about we move on to question number three? How many questions do I have? I have four questions. So, um, nothing short of a total war. That's a good one. Your novel, Counterillumination, is the only one I own but have not read in full. I've heard many great things about it, but it came out in 2023. I was having a very rough year leading up to a divorce, etc., and I was feeling very sensitive. And your work is quite extreme, so I was having trouble getting through the pages and pages of rape and so forth. Unfortunately, I have nothing to ask you about that book, but I did pick up your new novel, Teleplasm. I'm back in a state where I can appreciate this kind of thing, and I loved it. So, Teleplasm. Like much of your writing, there is a plot, but it takes a back seat to your central character's musings, her misanthropia, and sexual masochism. The protagonist, a young woman named Sloane Epstein, is either in reality or pretending to be a psychic medium. She has a much older boyfriend who she refers to as Dr. Novak. Together, they're producing a TV show wherein Sloane is supposed to communicate with a variety of people's dead relatives and so forth. But this TV show stuff makes up so little of the book that it feels almost irrelevant. Mostly, this book details Sloane's relationship with Dr. Novak, wherein they participate in a variety of sexual perversions with and without her consent. And again, your protagonist looks on everything around her with a bemused hatred. I realize that anyone can write about anything and it doesn't necessarily equate to their worldview, but there is such a persistent theme of tongue-in-cheek pessimism in your work that I can't help but attribute this to my idea of you. Are these actual manifestos of yours, cathartic exercises, or you're just a dealer in the aesthetics of the suicidal, raped, and angsty young woman?
Wow. Um, I don't know.
Great, great answer, I think. I mean, that's a totally fair answer.
No, I mean, I'm just the part about in Teleplasm where sort of gone into an interiority space with that
Right,
because I think when I had the idea of the medium and the that relationship of pretending to be a medium and making a reality show about I don't know parapsychology or paranormal activity, I think the normal thing to do would be to write a book about that.
right,
But I decided to sort of like turn it inside out and make it about everything that's behind the scenes. So, like, if you wrote a book about a pop star living in the 80s or whatever, touring the world, most people want to know what's it like doing that, going around everywhere, people like throwing objects at you and intimate objects,
uh-huh,
possibly. What's that all about? But I want to know about the inside. I want to know what people are really thinking. I don't care about how successful they are or if they had a bit of fame or if they enjoyed being screamed at by thousands of strangers who thought that they knew them in some weird way. I want to know about their real relationships. I want to know about people's real fantasies that they don't tell other people. They won't tell their parents. I want to know about the things that you're ashamed to tell your mother or even your partner. The things that if people found out about, you'd want to kill yourself. That's what I want to write about. That's what I want to know. I don't care about the surface of everything. I want to understand people's real interior psychology, whether that's like their libidinal urges or weird fetishes or the longing for violence, the longing for anything that's unspeakable in our apparent society. That's what I wrote that particular book about, if that makes any sense. That's why it's not, I'm not doing it as a gimmick. I'm not, I'm not, writing these books because I want to unspool a particular perverted thread or leave a metaphorical trail of blood and, you know, other substances all over the carpet or the sofa or anywhere else you can think of, the backseat of a car or an aeroplane. But I just mean in general, that's what I want to know about because you hear people who talk to an agony aunt. So what, I don't know what they call them in the States or North America, but
Well, yeah, what
in
is the
England,
word that you just used? I'm not
in England they have this phrase called agony aunt. Basically,
agony
when you
aunt? Yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
I've
it's
never
it's
heard
it's
that.
a great name, agony aunt, but the actual meaning of the word is quite benign. It's like a lady that you write to for advice, like advice column.
Okay.
Yeah. And people write to these advice columns for sexual or relationships or whatever. And they say, I've been married for 3 years, or I've been in a relationship, and my partner doesn't know XYZ. And we're married, and I really want to throttle them when I'm sleeping with them. Or I, some people want to be dressed up as a cat or and these are deeply held erotic things that they want to do, which is fine. But but then they got married and they didn't tell their partner. It, like they get into these situations. It's like, why would you want to live with someone would be disgusted by you? I mean,
I mean, that's a very good question.
unless that was part of it, and that was part of the
It's part of the
fun.
appeal to hide that. I mean, maybe in some people's cases, I don't know.
I need,
I
I need, I need someone to be appalled by my behavior. I
well,
don't care who it is. I just need to find that person who would be disgusted by me.
well, to your earlier point, I think reading your work, it does not come across like a gimmick. I think it almost seems obsessive in terms of the subject matter, and I think what is interesting about you compared to a lot of people who probably attempt something similar, because like for better or worse, you exist within a kind of transgressive literary canon. There are people who use that word a lot to describe the type of book that you write, and a lot of that stuff is really fucking boring, in my opinion. It's just
Could
people,
be,
yeah, I mean,
could be.
it could be, yeah, but I don't feel that way about your work, and I'm trying to wrap my head around why, but anyway, even back to what you're talking about, the excessive output of yours, is also confusing to me because I don't know how to write that way. And most people I know who write like a book a year, especially within contemporary literature or like independent literature, I mean, they're awful. They don't have much of an aesthetic sensibility. So all of that to say, I'm very impressed by your stuff. All right, what else
That's
did I?
because you should only write when
Yeah,
you really feel it.
I disagree
Like,
with that,
okay,
but
no, I believe that
okay.
discipline is important.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody needs to be disciplined.
I agree with that.
But if you if you force yourself to work on something as wanted to use the words sacred, but I don't mean it in a religious sense. I don't have another word for it in contemporary language for this idea of things being sacred or important. If you're just if you don't feel it, if it's not an itch that needs to be scratched, if
Sure.
it's not like a compulsive thing that you have to do. I mean, look at Ted Bundy. I mean, he was a compulsive maniac, but I don't think I'm going into a weird territory here. I'm gonna
Are
I'm
we
gonna stop.
advocating for the importance
No,
of 10 buddies Bundy's work? I'll
no,
let you handle that.
he freaks me out. He freaks me out, but
It freaks me out too.
I don't know. I've just got a weird sense of humor, and I don't know how to don't know how to behave normally. So, like, people might get angry with me, but I'm just theorizing. You know, I don't have any emotional attachment to anything or like beliefs. Like, I'm just like I'm just like an echo chamber.
You're just
So,
like an echo chamber. How many
yeah,
other people are dealing in the thought process of your echo chamber? I find that a little hard to believe. You seem somewhat
I'm like,
singular to me.
yeah, but in my own echo chamber.
Okay.
So if somebody came along and said to me, "Oh, what you just said about Ted Bundy is really rude," I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I think it is. Yeah, sorry." And if they were upset, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry you're upset about stuff." But if something bad happened to me, like I'd be crying about it. And, you
Yeah,
know,
well, you should. Yeah. I mean, that's the way we work.
I'd feel really sorry for myself, and I'd never get over it. And I'd be embittered. I'd be like really angry forever if somebody did something like that to me.
If they
Yeah.
fucking murdered you, well, you probably wouldn't get to think about it too long.
Oh,
But I don't know. How long
I'd
does
be,
Ted Bundy leave these fucking women alive?
I don't
I
know.
haven't looked into it.
He just came into my brain because I watched that documentary about him.
Oh,
So really, I need to have a parental lock on my Netflix so I don't start saying stupid things in an interview.
I think this
Let's
is
talk
great.
about
Well,
let's
let's get to
talk
like
about
the most boring question, which you've already kind of
oh
talked about.
God.
I want to ask more explicitly because this is a writing YouTube series. You were a writer.
Yes.
Um,
Unfortunately.
yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I understand
Sadly.
this shit's
Sadly.
stupid, but as you talked about, we have a compulsion. It's so I want to talk about your writing practice. There's a lot of discussion among contemporary writers as to how to find the time or motivation to write a book. You don't seem to have this issue as you've been publishing once a year or every other year since you came into the literary scene, so to speak. I know you've talked about this a little bit already, but how does this practice fit into your day-to-day life? Like, do you have a job? Like, how do you just do this all night whenever you feel
Yeah.
like it? You said you have a
Like
compulsion towards it.
Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley.
I don't know what that means.
Rock and roll all night.
Rock and
Party
roll all
every day.
night.
Kiss. You don't strike me as a fan of Kiss. But
No, I mean, I know who they are. I'm not a fan of Kiss. You're right. Are you a fan of Kiss?
now I'm just aware of their existence. And I like that guy Ace Frehley, like set his guitar on fire on stage. That was cool. And that interview on YouTube where he gets really wasted and in an interview, that's really funny.
This is
What,
what the guitar
what,
player from AC/DC, right?
no, the Kiss.
Ace Frehley is in Kiss?
Yeah, AC/DC, they're from Australia.
Oh God, I don't fucking know anything.
That's like a
This
totally
is all
different.
before. How old are you? You seem relatively young. You're into like Kiss and all of that shit.
Well, I have cool boyfriends who are old
I don't
and
know.
they educate
Yeah.
me on all the dad rock that I could ever need to know about.
Okay. Well, so you rock and roll all night and party every day. That's the answer. That's your writing practice. That's like probably the best answer you could give.
No, but I don't remember the original question because
Oh, it's just about what did
I
I
got
say?
I got distracted by images of guitars on fire and heavy face paint and wild hair
The
and
gist of the question is what?
cold gin.
Cold gin. Uh,
Yeah,
I fucking hate gin. Do you drink a lot of gin?
I,
No. Okay. The gist of the question, we have about what, a little under 8 minutes, is that you write a lot. A lot of people have trouble with this, people who are writers. How do I write a book? How do I even finish one book?
don't think about it. Just
Yeah.
do it.
Just do it.
Stop self-censoring. Stop censoring yourself. Enjoy what you do. If
Do
you're
you
not,
enjoy writing? Do you actually enjoy like sitting down and doing it?
yeah,
Yeah.
because it puts me into an alternative state of consciousness, which is different from boring things like going to the shop and purchasing items. Okay,
Okay.
like I want to be in a different realm of consciousness.
Yeah.
I want to go into the quantum field or whatever it is, unified field,
The unified
and
field. I don't know what that is, but
yeah, and then
it
think
sounds intense.
it's the thing that's underneath everything. So if you took something like let's take an item that you can cut up like a piece of fruit, or
Okay.
everyone would say an apple because that's the like most biblical obvious thing. So we'll go with kumquat. If you took a kumquat and you cut it in half and then into quarters and then again and again and again, eventually you go to like the subatomic level. You'd I don't know what you'd find in there, like quarks or but basically at the bottom of everything you'd everything would be like some kind of unified field of consciousness, right?
All right.
Everything would be like linked up because you'd go like lower than even like waveforms or you know whatever.
Yeah. I don't have much to add there, but because I'm a little
What I'm
stupid.
saying is if you're trying to write a book and you're living inside this boring reality, which is really boring, like people deciding what color to paint their wall. Oh, I'm gonna like get a sofa. What color should my sofa be? Like this is really boring. Like, God, thinking about it makes me want to kill myself. I'm
So
so
this chair
bored.
you're sitting in was just an act of chaotic chance. You didn't pick this.
I could have chosen anything.
I respect
And
that.
it wouldn't, but then in the end, it wouldn't matter. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Maybe I should. Maybe maybe this armchair that I'm sitting in, which is covered in it's covered in what we call in England, we call it a throw. I suppose you might call it a blanket.
Yeah, there's some people here would call it a throw. Anyway,
I
that's
don't know.
irrelevant to the conversation.
I'm ignorant. I'm really
Me
ignorant.
too.
But
I'm
I'm
with
not
the
ashamed of I'm not ashamed to be ignorant. I'm happy to be ignorant.
good.
I want to be ignorant for the rest of my life. But yeah, I mean, I really feel like if it depends on the type of book you want to write. If I decided tomorrow that I was going to wake up and start writing detective novels or books about wizards who have to go to school for some reason, even though you just like magic all the knowledge into your head, like why would you ever go to the school? It'd be idiotic. But if I were to do something like that, I would be using a different part of my brain. I don't know what area that would be because I'm not a neurologist or whatever. And I'd be living in the whether you call the nuts and bolts reality of everything. And so it probably would be hard because it would be boring. It would
Yeah.
be it would be I have to sit here and logically plan out everything I'm doing, like I'm coding or I'm writing an algorithm or I'm fixing a Rubik's Cube. But I don't see art as that process. For me, it's not. I mean, whatever it is to anyone else, that's up to them. But if I'm going to do it, I don't. I want it to be a process of libidinal frustration and erotomania, uh, subconscious desires, and even just an appreciation of like being alive or being able to write at all, like being able to even write something like a book or even have the time. It's kind of a luxury. Like I could be reincarnated and I'd be forced to work in a mine in in
You could, yeah.
in Burma or South Africa, and I wouldn't be able to write books anymore because I'd be in a pit.
Shovel, yeah. Well,
That'd
so
be
your
so.
advice basically to writers who are struggling is stop trying to write something so
No,
fucking
don't
boring.
stop self-censoring.
Okay,
If
stop
you're
self-censoring.
bored, if you're bored and you're finding it hard to write, why would anyone read that? Like, if it's boring to, like, if I'm writing something and it's boring and I don't want to do it, I stop and do something that I want to do because if, if I find it like arduous or a chore to write, why would anyone want to read it? I mean, I don't take my readers for granted. I'm, I'm lucky enough to be able to put my work out there and people will read
Yeah.
it and appreciate it. But I don't have any control over that.
Well, look, we're about to get cut off, so I just want to let you know.
Yes,
Thank you so much for
amazing.
joining me. This was a wonderful conversation. Yeah, let's end it there. Thank you,
I'm
Audrey.
dead. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Of course. Thank you.
Take it easy.
I got you.
Bye.